Broadcasting across the country and around the world, from Sin City in Las Vegas, Nevada, join Moose and PowerSerg as we prove that age is truly just a number and the best life is yet to come. Grab a seat, pour yourself a drink, and dare to live on 50 Shades of Great. Welcome back. Another episode, 50 Shades of Great. I'm your host, Moose, here with co-host and...
Moose
in the house. Co-host and executive producer, EP PowerSerg himself.
What's happening, fellas?
We are back now with a familiar face in studio. James Kilgore, welcome back.
Good day, everybody.
Appreciate you spending a little more time with us here. We talked about fashion and the different do's and don'ts of fashion and things that you can apply to your daily life, not only in dating or working, but having that confidence that you need to go out and make your way into the world. You know, I mean, the guys our age are coming out of divorce. We're coming out of sometimes going into a second career. The kids are moved away. Life is changing and our focus on life is changing. And one of the things that comes up is over the course of time, like I've noticed, I don't have, other than 2 or 3 diehard friends, my social circles have changed. As I've advanced in my career, as I've gone through different, raising kids, from going to soccer practice and as we move on, that gets tougher and tougher all the time, especially when it comes to dating. We were having a conversation last time behind the scenes, and you were talking about, if we can just dive into it, you were talking about the difference between dating 20 years ago, dating today, and not understanding basically the playing field. Taking a baseball player, throwing him in football uniform and go play against Patrick Mahomes.
It's almost like it being on a different planet.
It is. Do you mind talking about that? First of all, let's go ahead and reintroduce yourself. I feel like
I'm James
you've
Kilgore.
been such a friend of the show that
I'm James Kilgore. I work with Rollo Tomasi and Joe Marin for Reignite, which is part of the Men of Action program that Mike Sartain runs.
And what is Reignite?
Reignite is essentially trying to take that men that have been in long-term relationships, essentially marriages that started before Facebook, before iPhones in the early to mid 2000s. They're coming through and so they're just not aware of social media. They're not aware of dating apps. They're not aware of this market at all. If they're on those things, they're on them for their kids or for family. They're not on there actually trying to use them to build social circle and try to meet women again. And so we discovered that there's that group of 40, like say 40 to 45 to 50, 60, 65, that just needs a bit more of a tailored approach as to how we reintegrate them back into the sexual market. And how do we get them to use Instagram as a way of status and social proof?
Because that's where it's gone.
That's where it's gone. That's where it is.
I tell you what, I don't even know if my TikTok is still active. I know once in a while I'll post something, but that was a fad for a little bit. But Instagram is the one that stayed strong. It's funny. Instagram started based on meals. Instagram was created to be able to show pictures of different meals and stuff like that. And I think because they had that like solid game plan going into it, now the meal is the man or the woman.
Well, like back in the day, we would have maybe asked a woman for her number. Now you say, hey,
wrote it on
do you have Instagram?
Napkin at the bar?
And when somebody doesn't have social media, because you're on dating apps and you meet a woman and you connect with a woman, and she doesn't have social media, that's an automatic red flag. There's something is up.
Yes and no.
The same thing for guys.
I agree. And it was really funny. I was talking with Alfonso over at Firehouse this morning about meeting a woman up in Connecticut, and she has 0. And I'm looking at her trying to decide, is that a green flag or is that like a dumpster fire of a red flag?
I guess, but that's perception though.
Well, you got to get to know them a little bit better. But the way that most women are on Instagram and have Instagram accounts, and it's very easy. They feel very safe in exchanging Instagrams. It allows them then an opportunity to confirm your status or to confirm that, that it's a pass or fail.
There's a vetting process.
Yeah. They look at your Instagram and they are either going to message you back or they're not. And I think that's one of the most important things that we're trying to do as well, is we're trying to have guys be proficient with their time. Don't waste time. Because we now appreciate, at our ages, we now have a great appreciation for the value of our own time. And we need to try to help them figure out what type of woman that they're interested in trying to meet, for what type of relationship they want to be in, and what they have to do to get to a position to be able to do that. And a lot of this and building social circle, like you said, and trying to make friends, that's what Instagram helps do, because they're going to look, when they exchange Instagrams with you, they're going to look to see who follows you, to see if you have anyone that they also follow. They know the same person maybe.
Yeah, and who you follow probably is, but because you can tell somebody, I will say this, you can tell somebody anything, but when you look at people's social media, now, social media is what they want to present.
It's fabricated.
It's fabricated.
We have a rule in MOA that it's fake, but we're okay with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Tatas, right?
But I will say,
they're fake, but you're okay with them, right?
But I will say that when you look at something historical,
can't get him to agree with me on anything.
Instagram. No, I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
I'm speaking his language, fake Tatas, and I can't even get him on that
actually
one.
prefer
No
real.
reaction.
I prefer real, but they're teach his own. What I was going to say is that when you look at not just the photos of themselves that they post, but you look at whose photos they like, whose photos they comment on, and you look at their activity, where they go, what content you can really try to you can figure out what people are all about.
Right.
Right?
To a certain extent, and I'm gonna go to battle with you on one thing. I don't want to go back to it. Then we'll come to social media. Is I don't disagree. I don't agree with it's a red flag without the social media. I don't, and because there's a lot of people out there that don't want their personal stuff all over the place. And to say that a woman's not valued now, if you're just looking to date and get laid, you're doing the Vegas night lifestyle. No. Yeah, then 100%.
I think
100%.
Same thing for guys. I think guys who say, "Oh, I don't have any social media because I'm private. I don't have."
No, they're married.
LinkedIn. They're married.
They're married,
right? So the thing about it is that yes, there are some people that eventually, when you get to know them, you can say, they're real, they're legitimate, and they don't have social media. But the vetting process
there's just a different vetting process because now you want to actually talk to somebody. No, sorry, James, we cut you off.
Well, I think it's fine, and it's a good conversation to have, because I do agree with Serge on that a lot when it comes to, like, geographically. In Vegas, not having Instagram, not saying that you're on social media, that's going to be pretty suspect. Up in the Northeast or out in the Midwest or somewhere, they're not on social media. It's probably a green flag, because Mike Sartain talks about this a lot. This is primarily what he looks for now in women because of social media and because of Instagram and TikTok and everything. How much attention seeking are they having? How much attention?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the ones that are super, super active have a body count of north, usually.
It's almost it either
it's almost a bad thing.
Depends on what you're looking for.
It may correlate.
I got your Valtrex over here.
It may correlate, or it may correlate. It may not. Like, she may have a low body count, but man, she's just completely addicted to getting attention off of social media.
100%.
Right. So it may correlate. It may not correlate. But the important thing is if she's having to seek all that attention all the time, it's like, how are you gonna replace that with yourself?
Right.
How are you gonna get her to have you become a primary focus in her life? Because how does she give that up?
But hold on one second. But I know some women that I grew up with early on who are very attractive women, very good women. They, for whatever reason, just have never wanted to get into that social media. So I don't think it takes away from, finding the right person not having that. Because I tell you what, I mean, I grew up in El Cajon, California. A lot of people that, the armpit of San Diego, right? We were the meth capital of California in '99. Hey, there's a champion for you. But I saw a video recently where it was something about the anti-social media and how you have to still be careful in that vetting process, because this woman was gorgeous. Like, I looked at her page. She had 156 posts, like, just drop dead gorgeous, walking in the heels. She could have showed up to a bikini contest. In that next morning, she does this presentation where she takes the makeup off, takes her teeth out. She's literally an El Cajon. She's literally an El Cajon tweaker. Like, you wouldn't look at her twice, but you might have, James, you might have banged her last night.
Well, I know I didn't.
So don't trust. Don't trust social media. But
I'm just saying, don't use it as an only vetting. And
Absolutely.
I just want to point out that there's a lot of good women out there that aren't necessarily
I would
selling
say
themselves on social media.
It's not so much for us to use as a vetting tool. It's for them to use it as a vetting tool for us. It's a pass-fail thing when it comes to women when you exchange Instagrams. It gives you a form of ability to be able to communicate to them through direct messaging. They can do a deep dive, because what we talked about in the previous conversation, what Rollo talks about all the time, and that is women are looking to disqualify you. So if they look at your Instagram account and they like what they see, it's a pass, and they'll begin to communicate with you. So it's much more for them than it is for us, right?
And more than just that, right? That's very true. That for men need to find one thing attractive about a woman to then want to be with her.
Yeah.
For women, they can find one thing they don't like about a guy, and that's a disqualifier.
Right, I
So
see
it's
that.
true.
But what's that's led to, and I just want to point this out, is what that's led to, because I've talked to a lot of people about Instagram, and it kind of goes back to the fashion. If you're not going to own it, don't do it. Because you don't build yourself up to be something you're not and not be able to keep up. Because that's also going to cause a lot of problems. It's going to cause a lot of heartache. You put out there that, you're this, like, if you tried to take his persona, and then they realize you're not a pilot. You might fly a drone.
I mean, there's a bunch of.
There's great memes about that.
Obviously, there's fake,
great memes.
real,
right?
very true.
I mean, they do call them pilots now, which is ridiculous. But
you do have to get an
drone
FAA
operators.
I saw that,
license.
But isn't
yeah.
that a license as an operator? Not as a
I haven't
pilot?
seen what exactly it says. I do know that it requires one now.
So you have to. So to operate a drone, you have to have
certain types of drones. I think it's a size.
There's a lot of safety stuff with,
because we don't want you. We don't
have
want
you seen what these do to
you.
a plane? I mean, I'm in aviation security.
There was significant issues when I used to fly for China Southern into Heathrow. We had significant issues with people driving drones near the approach ends of the runways, because they're trying to get 4K video of an airplane coming in. It's like, you don't want to suck one of those things in an engine while you're trying to land.
Yeah, my day job, I'm in the private sector. We're a TSA and a government contractor for aviation security. And one of the presentations that I do shows a plane coming in for final approach that's actually hit a drone, and the damage that you'd be surprised what it does.
Yeah, it hit the tail and it ripped a big hole in the leading edge of the tail. Yeah,
crazy.
It was.
So going back to social, we got the derailed there, but going back to the social media. So that's what I just think is, like anything, if you're gonna go on and you're gonna be a total poser, it's gonna catch up to you. But so you've got to slowly work your way into that. Now I'm going to kind of be my walking contradiction in life. And instead of saying like they have to have it, now I'm going to say they have to have it. But the hard part is men, where to start. Because I've got a friend who recently divorced, getting back, and he basically shows me, he goes, dude, everyone's told me, start your Instagram, blah, blah, blah. And 6 months into it, I mean, his wife has to go in there in a bikini and she gets 1,500 followers.
Absolutely.
He's got 12 after posting anything and everything. So how do men get started, James? And they've never had the Instagram before, recently divorced. Where's the starting point? Can you share that?
You join Men of Action.
Well, okay.
You join Men of Action
we'll do an episode. We'll do an episode on social media and the importance of social media. But as far as what we started to talk about is dating. So from a dating standpoint, is it just that the dating situation is different? Or do you think that men dating in their 50s or dating post-divorce have to approach dating different than they did in their 20s?
They absolutely have to approach it differently, not only just because it's a different market, but they're a different person. And there's some great books out there to help guys kind of discover what it is that they're trying to look for. Dr. Glover's No More Mr. Nice Guy is a wonderful book because it helps you self-evaluate yourself as to why did your marriage not work out? What do you need to fix? I think a lot of guys need to accept responsibility for what they can for the marriage not working out, so they can try to fix that so they don't repeat it again in the future. That part of it, that's a big journey to try to figure out how to make yourself better that way. But
after 4 or 5 divorces, does it really matter?
Yeah, there's this guy skipping my topics, busting my balls.
Yeah,
but I want to get. I mean, you just went too. You went 2 miles ahead of the topic we were on.
Bad.
You don't feel bad. You don't feel.
I pick on the moose man. I feel terrible.
You're a self-appointed narcissist. You admit it. That's why I respect it. It's because I just. Yeah. But
I think it's really important that guys do a lot of self-examination. They read a lot of books, but then they have to join organizations that are actually going to help them. I didn't know what I didn't know that I needed to know how to be better at approaching women and talking to women until I had a coach at immersion tell me, hey, you got to stop doing that. And you need to start doing this. And here's how you work on that. And, when you finish immersion, these are the things you need to try to keep focusing on. And then you discover it's like, oh, I've got this real, I've got like a needy issue, or I've got some underlying issue I've got to resolve. And there's books that you can read. So it's
being
all
honest
about
with yourself.
Yeah, you got to be honest with yourself, and you got to want to work on yourself. You got to try to get up every day and be better than you were the day before.
It's like the gym.
Who you surround yourself with.
If you don't want to take that if you don't want to make that journey, you just want the race.
And I think that's the other thing too, that if you become what we would call red pill aware, a lot of guys are divorced and they still can't figure out what happened. And it's like, well, you're doomed to repeat the same mistakes if you can't figure it out. And that's one of the best things I think that I enjoyed the most about being a part of this group, is that you're with other men who get it. You're with other like-minded men. You're in a cohort, the camaraderie. He's like, I don't know what to do. Well, you know what? You be with us. You're going to get it all figured out. We're going to help you understand what it is you need to do, and we'll get you set down on a pathway.
Absolutely.
When we started out, it was, we were talking about surrounding yourself with people you want to be. And that's
you
what
want to soar with the Eagles. You want to soar with the Eagles,
because if you're still flying with the pigeons, and you're trying to be an eagle, you're never going to get there.
Iron sharpens iron.
It's so awesome to be able to go to a Babes in Toyland pink party event out in LA, and you're at a table and you've got Rollo Tomasi, you've got Joe Marin, you've got Mike Sartain, you've got these top-notch guys all around, and other guys, and you can see, the top guys that are coming through the program. And you're all there together, and like everybody's standing around and they're all looking, and everyone knows,
right?
We may not know who all those guys are, but those are the guys at this party.
But
this is the group of guys at the party that
all these
everybody
guys
wants to
go
be
back
around.
to that level of confidence and owning what they're doing, knowing what you don't know.
But your confidence because you've learned and you've improved,
and you're applying it.
I
remember the same thing. Serge and I, we years ago. After having an interaction with Mike Sexton, rest in peace, but we had a California poker radio show. Okay. And we just basically are on the radio talking about poker, interviewing the stars. Like literally we're just kid from Brooklyn, kid from El Cajon. Right. I'm medically retired because of a disability, but we put this show together because I had gotten into radio, and within 2 months, because we did own it and we were confident and we learned and we paid attention and we changed our circles. Like 6 months into this show, we were the VIP guests when the Ghost Bar opened up.
Right.
We're just two punks from California.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's guys got to realize is some guys need to understand that, this stuff's not going to happen overnight. So it goes to my whole when I talked about building the social media before we went to the last subject, is the guy who's out there right now is what are the elements, without going into the whole program, what are the elements when you're starting out that are going to catch that are going to be the hook? Is it the fashion? Is it the style? Is it where you're at?
It's the quality of the product that you present yourself with when you're on social media. So your grid photographs are really key. You just can't throw up a bunch of Polaroids. And that's what immersion does. We have what's called
Gen Zers who just jumped in with Polaroid.
Yeah. We they're coming back. They're making a comeback.
Then it's a camera where the photo comes out as you take the photo.
And you shake it. Remember how you used to have to shake it?
Yeah. But you know why you don't need that anymore? Because now we have digital. That's the reality. Is digital changed all that.
Part of immersion program is you spend 2 days at a social media boot camp trying to build that grid up, try to get
social media boot camp. Really?
Social media boot camp, absolutely. And they're
so that's how intense this is.
Casey Herzog and Vincent Del Toro doing photographs at a bunch of different venues all over Vegas. It's just amazing. You'll walk the more that you put in. That's kind of where I got a name for myself.
Okay,
because I showed up with like 2 duffel bags full of suits. I'm down to my underwear on Las Vegas Boulevard, and no one could care because I'm making complete changes.
Well, that's not an uncommon sight on Las Vegas Boulevard.
Well, the guys are all looking at it, so you're going to change right there. I said, watch. No one's going to stop and look.
So the trick to dating in your 50s and dating after divorce is being comfortable being in your underwear on Las Vegas Boulevard.
So that's right. Yeah, so
the first test.
You heard it here. You heard it here on 50 Shades of Grey.
So you have to have a quality presentation. But like you were talking about, when I joined MOA this last February and went to immersion with you in March, I think it was, right? I might have had 70 followers, and I lost half of them after the divorce. So I was down to numbers like this guy, right?
Right.
And you build a grid that shows your status. It's a yes or a no, right? and you go out and you meet people. Like that's what he's got to do. That's what all guys have to, and that's what Men of Action Reignite. That's what we all try to teach guys. It's like, you've got to get the reps in, go out, meet people 2-3 minutes into the conversation. Hey, you got Instagram? Get their Instagrams. Next thing you know, you've got 100, then you've got 200. Then you've got 300, because then also women will look at how many followers, how many are you following? You know, are you following 5,000 people and you have 50 followers? It's like,
right. But is that
you're a bot.
But from dating after divorce, is social media it, or is there more to it?
Well,
it's a lot of it, I think.
Right.
I mean, I'm a walking contradiction, but I'm going to say it's probably a lot of it.
Hold on.
You got to have the bullets in the gun that are necessary, and social media is part of
one
it.
of the bullets. Okay.
You know, Rollo says it all the time. You know, money, muscles, and game, right? And
muscle. Okay, now that is something. So what you need to have for dating after divorce is money, and game.
Yeah.
All right. So money is just money.
Part of the game is social media.
Okay.
That's a component of game. Game is also being able to approach a woman and have a conversation with her and be able to get her Instagram. And then how do you develop a relationship with them afterwards?
But I also think that one of the things that we're missing when we talk about
I'm not going to
dating,
completely agree with the money muscle game.
Well, it's
like
a simplified.
It sounds good.
We try. You know, we're
Right.
guys. We're guys. We try to come up with. You know, what are you looking for a woman? I want her to be fit and fun. It's like
me one woman.
But this is what I was going to say.
It's like 2 words. It's like there's a lot in those 2 words.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's
But
a
I will
lot in
say,
those.
but this is what I was going to say. Actually, it's exactly what I was going to say. So one of the key things to dating after divorce is when you hit one that is an understanding what went wrong and understanding who you are.
Yeah.
But the other key is understanding what you want.
Right.
Because your desires, and not all men are created equal.
Right.
Not all women are created equal. And deciding what you want, what kind of person you want, and what kind of a life and what kind of peace you want to build
Right.
is completely different.
Yeah, and it's a lot like, you know, you can kind of relate it to, we have the owner of a gym who is a very focused gym based on servicing goals in a safe way, not just, you know, a meathead, you know, go in there, meat market gym, which, you know, Serge was saying, what's wrong with a meat market gym? Nothing. But if you're looking for something, so what he was talking about these different levels. And like, if you come in and say, hey, look, my cholesterol's high, I have high blood pressure, there's going to be a certain tailored plan that he's going to do. Or, hey, I want to look good. I want veins popping out. I want that. There's a certain program you're going to be on. That's so true. Similar to taking care of your body, taking care of your style, taking care of your swagger.
It's mind and body. It's, you know, your character, understanding that you know, do you have needy issues? What are you deficient in? And why? You know, guys don't, it's like, well, you know, you're coming across as a bit creepy and you need to kind of cut that out. And it's like, okay, I understand it. But then it's like, it's almost more important to figure out why, you know, where'd that come from? So that's when you're starting to read books like, you know, Models, or you're starting to read books like Dr. Glover's books, No More Mr. Nice Guy, or Dating Essentials 101, because that was the other thing too. I can't remember which book it is that he wrote, but it's like, you know, what do you want in a woman? You know, what are you looking for? Now, you can make a nice list. It's all theory, but it's really interesting, you know, what you think about in theory and then you go apply in practice. And that was one of the really cool things. Joe Marin pointed this out about going to MOA and being a part of Immersion or Reignite, is you get to interact with so many different women in such a short period of time. You kind of start figuring out from actual application what it is you're really looking for. Right. It's not theory anymore. You're applying it, and and so it makes it easier when you meet somebody, it's like, oh yes.
Well, you know, and
I know. But
there's also representation bias.
Representation, and so I think that, you know, I'll go with you in a second. But going back to with the, you know, I had a big morning drive show and on radio,
right.
And you know, walking into the room again with the imposter syndrome, you have a hard time ever believing. I remember the first time someone asked me for an autograph. I was talking about that. I'm like, the hell they want my autograph for? Like, I'm just
Yeah, what the hell did they want me to?
But what I noticed is there were people who had sort of this envy, or not an envy, but maybe a goal to, hey man, I want to make it like that. Because when you walk into a room at the time, especially when you have the status, it's easier to walk in with the confidence of status when you actually have it than when you're trying to build it. But I noticed a lot of people would come around and they would watch like, what gym did I go to? What was I eating? Who was I hanging with? And then trying to emulate that. And I think that's a real important part of that is that social circle, that friend circle. Because if you are just trying to get into this stuff, and I think the Men of Action plan talks about this, is if you're surrounding yourself, just by default, the people that are going to walk up to that group.
That's correct.
Is going to automatically bring you into the fold.
I think 100%. The people you surround yourself with, right, is going to be for. If you're surrounding yourself with a bunch of shitheads, women, business partners, etc., are going to assume that you're your status goes down dramatically if your circle is low.
But you can't be overly needy with those guys either.
But one of the benefits or one of the ways of curing the needy issues is to be able to come from a position of abundance, getting yourself into a position where you have abundance, and then because it's like, okay, if you're not chasing after every single positive validation from every single person, you don't need that anymore, right? And I think that helps. And that was it too. Somebody coming off of a long marriage, and if they've had a dead bedroom for a while, and then all of a sudden they come to Vegas and there's a 20-something, batting her eyelashes at him, he's like, oh, this is amazing,
So once you figure out they're not a prostitute or the police.
Well, and that's a key thing, and that's one of the biggest things that we're having to do. It's a double-edged sword, right? On one side of the sword, we're teaching them how to approach women and how to talk to women and how to get reintegrated back into the sexual market as it currently is, but also be aware of the sharks and the barracudas that are out there.
And in Vegas, they're good.
They're very
there's
Yeah. They're looking for sugar daddies. We call them the sugar babies. The sugar babies come out, and they know exactly.
That's your old school walking girl.
How to play the game. I've recently, in Vegas, I experienced it. They were very subtle about, they start complaining. Oh, my car broke down or this, that. And I'm like, oh, that's terrible. I hope you can get that fixed soon. And it's like, oh, did you want me to give you $5,000 to get your Mercedes fixed?
They've got their own, Sartains talks about something that I saw on one of his shows where if you have to buy them something so never pay their rent, their car, or so you can treat them to certain things, but never become that person that they're dependent upon.
Well, they begin to look at you differently. And then the comfort.
Then now you're the mark,
right?
And it also depends on who you are and what you can afford. So I like that. I mean, the reality is that for some men, taking a girl out, I can't stand guys who complain. Oh, I hate dating. It's expensive, and I don't want to take her out. I don't want to pay for. But the reality is that if you can't afford it and you're broke, for you it's a big deal. For me, it's not a big deal to go out and have a nice dinner, right? For me, it's not a big deal to go. If I want to go to Florida, I don't want to go by myself. It's no big deal to invite a girl to go and to pay for her airline ticket, right? I know there's some guys in the red pill they'll say, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that." But the reality is, the reason they're complaining about doing it is because they're broke.
Right.
They can't afford it, right? So the question is not just being a provider, but the other question is, if you're doing it and you can't afford it, and you're stretching yourself in order to do it, and she's only with you because you're doing those things, bad.
Then it's a transactional relationship.
It's a transactional relationship. Yeah. If you're doing it because you can afford it and it's no big deal, who cares?
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's
James.
trivial.
I think, because what Serge is saying is 100% correct in the manosphere where you're aware. We're talking about that you don't do these things for them per se because you want them to show compliance, and you want them to be compliant to you first. But it's perfectly acceptable with high quality women, with really good women. You are going to have to spend more time building what we call building comfort with them, because they might break a rule and sleep with you early. And we talk about this all the time because it's very frustrating. Women over
Alpha's, what's
I'll
his
try
name?
to make it quick.
Favorite? No, Rollo's favorite quote. Women
they break rules for alphas and make rules for betas. So if her rule's like, I'm not going to sleep with you on the first date, and she does, and that's where I think they misunderstand, especially women over 35. This has been just a repeat issue for many guys, including myself. I understand that I have to build a lot more comfort with women that are over the age of 35, probably because of past relationships that they've had. They don't want to get burned. They're worried about getting pumped and dumped per se. And I try to say, it's like, I get it and I'll be patient with it to a certain extent. But the problem that they have is they're competing with women that are 25 to 35 who are not making men like me wait.
Right.
Right. And they
got to know the field, read the room.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, so if you're making me wait, you're making a rule for me, or you're not willing to break a rule for me. And it's like, look, if we don't sleep together early enough in the relationship, your chances with me are zero.
But James, do you know what you want in a relationship? Do you know what you want?
I do. Yeah. I think our demographic, we've kind of grew up in a place where I don't want to have any poly thing. I want to have a monogamous relationship with somebody. I want to have a nice long-term relationship with somebody. And the reason is just because for me, I personally believe
you're talking shit to him.
Well, hold on.
I'm a better.
What about age? Do you know what age you want?
Oh, well, yeah, I just probably 10 years younger, probably 35 to 45.
And do you want somebody accomplished with a job?
It doesn't matter. I was talking to an incredible woman the other day in LA, and we're having a discussion. She's actually talking about work, and I have no idea what she did. Right. I still don't know. Like she did end up saying what it was she was doing. And I'm like, something to do with sound or something, but she really loved what she did.
Yeah.
But for us, that's a tough thing for them. They have a tremendous amount of ego invested in what they've accomplished in their lives. And I don't want to take that away from them,
right.
But it also makes it harder for them to try to be in their feminine to be with me, because they've, I don't want to give up this. I don't want to give up that. And we talk about, not trusting.
You've got to know that going in.
Yeah.
So we do have to wrap.
Yeah, but hold on.
And
this is what we're going to wrap.
This is really good. This is too bad. It's a really good conversation.
But we're going to bring James back. So here's the thing. What we're going to do is we're going to do a little social experiment. We're going to see if what James says about what he wants is actually what he wants. So we're going to do a little dating game. We're going to invite you to do a dating game.
Let's do the dating game.
Let's do the dating game. And what we're going to do is that, ladies, I'm going to send a couple of clips of you talking about dating out into the social media sphere. Right. And we're going to find some women who want to go out on dates with you.
Okay.
And then we're going to have you come back to the studio and choose based on questions you ask for the women.
Questions, sight unseen.
Sight unseen.
I don't get to see them, but
and see who you like, and then we're going to get into the date.
Right. I like it. So call to action. Game. Call to action. Great. James, always a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks
Appreciate
again, guys,
you joining us today.
Loved being here. A lot of fun.
Call to action, get out there and maintain and build those social groups. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to reach out. Recently getting back into industry and getting back into, I've been out of it for a while. So I've reached out to people, the guys from I Prevail. They invited me to go bowling, and they made some videos and took some photos to kind of help me build that. Find those people where you want to aspire to, and build that circle. Don't be afraid. Get yourself involved. Check your style, check your social media, and just check it. Make sure you're straight. Not straight sexually, but straight in the mech that you've got everything put together. So we are going to go out there and have the best day of our lives. You go have yours. Have a great day.
The show doesn't stop there. Join the movement on IG, 50 Shades of _great, or go to our website, 50shadesofgreat.com.